Welcome to the Peace Apostolic Network Marriage Celebrants Ongoing Professional Development session for 2025. That was quite a long and rambling title, wasn't it? I hope this video won't be long and rambling. There are three things I want to talk about today. One is a refresher, and I'll just quickly go over that again, and it's this. The notice of intended marriage is the most important document legally when you're planning a wedding. It's important, it's essential that all the details on that form are correct and that the names and addresses and so on as recorded on that form, they must match what goes onto each of the other certificates. So make sure you get the notice of intended marriage right, especially all the details of the the parents and so on, and the previous marriages. Make sure that you see all the relevant documents and record those details on the notice of intended marriage. Things like birth certificates, proof of identity, any divorce or death of a previous spouse, those sorts of certificates. You must get that information. You must see the certificates, the original certificates, in person, and you must write down the registration number of those documents on your notice of intended marriage. If you get that bit right, everything else just flows automatically. I know that New South Wales and Queensland, and I think Victoria, have facilities now for you to do all of your details online. I highly commend that to you, because it just means you enter all the information once, and then the software spits out the necessary documents, the certificates and so on. So if you haven't given that a go in the past, log in and just see what it's about. I know in New South Wales there are various videos that show you how to fill in those forms online, and I'm sure other states have something similar. So check that out. It does save a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of potential mistakes. Well, the two main points I want to make today are changes to the Marriage Act that took place during the last 12 months. I did send out an email via Maury O'Connell about those changes, and I just want to highlight again those particular changes, because you may not have taken them on board. The first change is this, that it's now possible to view somebody signing their notice of intended marriage via video link. That was a temporary measure that was brought in during COVID, and it's now possible to do that online via Zoom or via some other video software. So if for some reason one of the parties isn't available, perhaps they're overseas, or perhaps a remote part of Australia, and just can't get to you prior to the date set for the wedding, well, you can do that online. And basically the protocol is this: they have to download in some form, or maybe using the old snail mail, get the paper documents, and you have to witness them signing that online. So the requirements are fairly simple. That there aren't too many requisites. You just have to satisfy yourself that you are watching that person sign that document as you watch. So a normal Zoom setup with a camera is acceptable. It might be an idea for the person to hold that form up before the camera before they sign it, so you can see it's blank. Then they put it down on the table or whatever and sign it, and then hold it up in front of the camera again at the end, so you can see the signed form. and then they have to get that back to you, perhaps scan it, email, or by snail mail, whatever's convenient. So just remember that. It's another step forward that's been made possible, that makes things more convenient when people are at a distance. So you don't actually have to get them into a room with you. The second one, a more significant one, is this. It is now a requirement that prior to conducting a marriage ceremony, you must satisfy yourself that both parties are consenting to the marriage. So there's two parts to that. Firstly, you have to satisfy yourself that they are capable of consenting. So if they are showing signs of mental impairment through dementia or some other problem, then you have to make sure they understand what they're doing and the implications of it. Secondly, you have to be clear that they're not being forced into it. The old joke about shotgun marriages, well, it wasn't a joke, I suppose, it was a reality 100 or so years ago. But we do have forced marriages in some cultures that are resident in Australia, and we just need to make sure that the bride or the groom is doing it without any pressure, any undue pressure from family members, that it's not a marriage that is strictly an arranged marriage, but one that they are freely consenting to. Now, the way that you do that, the law states you must interview each party separately. There's no guidance about what form that interview should take, so you just need to satisfy yourself, whatever that takes, to make sure that person is freely consenting to the marriage. And I suggest at the moment there's no space for that on the notice of intended marriage, but I suggest that you write down in a diary or whatever the date in which you conduct those two interviews, and record your impressions and maybe a summary of the conversation that was had. So that's really important. It is now a legal requirement, and you may be asked, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years after a marriage has been solemnised, that what did you do to ensure that person consented? So make sure you document that. No doubt in some future incarnation of the Notice of Intended Marriage form, there will be a space on that for you to write the date where you met with the parties. Well, that sounds a little bit more complicated, I guess, but again, it's just part of the job that we have to do as marriage celebrants. I pray that you'll continue to find this role fulfilling and a source of joy, and a means of pastoral care for the people in your congregation or in your wider community. So God bless. Look forward to catching up with you sometime in the future.